Hello, fabulous friends and fans. Welcome to your horoscope for the week of April 10, 2016. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. This week, there's a lot going on now that we are going to be feeling, but then there's also a sense of what is coming up ahead and what we are building towards. The energy will slowly but surely start to become more reflective in many areas, but that happens just as things start to get more and more inspiring and even more passionate as well. Mercury will be speaking in harmony with Neptune this week, as well as in supreme harmony with Jupiter. You look at that and that just says all kinds of very inspired, hopeful thinking, hopeful conversations, and believing that there's a possibility for things to turn around, and in some cases miraculously so, that it is possible for you. And that certainly is true. It is possible. If there ever was any kind of celestial conversation that spoke to right place at the right time, it is what Mercury is doing this week that suggests that. But ultimately, it is about the new ideas, the thoughts, and the inspirations that we're willing to follow up, even in slight ways, even in terms of just being willing to engage someone who says hello, being willing to have these conversations that may appear to come out of nowhere. They have a way of working very well together in the tapestry, of making us aware of how it is that we're moving towards, yes, greater love and greater wisdom, but also in our own lives as well, moving ourselves in a positive direction. There'll be lots of inspiration on offer, particularly if you are a writer or you use your imagination or creative ability in any way towards your personal fulfillment, but also in terms of your money, in terms of making money. It is this level of feeling that you're able to tap into the divine that much more easily that can allow great ideas to come forth. Collectively, Mercury is what we're talking about. It's what we're thinking about. It's what's happening on a level of media. And this is going to be a time when, given that Mercury is in an earth sign, in a sign that has to do with money, okay? Particularly dealing with money. And then you add to that Virgo, of course, Jupiter, of course, in the sign of Virgo, that has to do with a job well done. There are a couple of things that come up for me as I look at this, and given the placement of Neptune, some really interesting, like undercover boss types of scenarios should be capturing our attention as a collective. And additionally, I think that this is going to be a time when we are going to be collectively looking at celebrating people who have worked really hard to make great gains in their life. So we should expect at least one story that captures the imagination of a lot of people out there, inspires a lot of people out there as well to improve their own financial circumstances, wherever it is that you might be right now. And it's going to be rooted in this understanding of whatever you're good at will attract prosperity. Whatever you give your time to, whatever it is that you practice, whatever it is that you give your attention to repeatedly over an extended period of time, eventually will pay off. The prosperity will come. And these are the types of examples, or at least one notable example, that we should start to see right around this time being discussed by the collective. Also this week, we've got Venus speaking in supreme harmony with Mars. Now, both of these planets are in fire signs, but you add to this the fact that Mars is slowing down now, slowing down, and will, at the very start of next week, the very beginning of next week, will move retro. Okay, so this week we're going to be feeling it because Mars will be slowing down to a stop now. And I'll talk a lot more about Mars retro next week. But of course, there's the Mars retrograde specials that I've already been sharing and the follow-ups that I've been sharing as well. I recently got, just a little bit of a side note, I recently got an email asking about starting new endeavors, right? Starting a new website, for example, under a Mars retrograde, starting a new business under Mars retrograde. And so what I would say is, if you're starting a new business, now Mars retrograde, that's one thing. But keep this in mind as well. This week, in the middle of the week, Mercury will move into shadow. Now, ultimately, and I really believe ultimately, you know when, wherever it is that you're meant to take action and when it is that you're meant to take action, if it resonates with you, then that is showing you something about where your learning is. And things can work out in ways that are surprisingly beneficial and surprisingly interesting as well, even when we're working with the retrogrades, okay? So it doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing, not at all. We are going to have Mercury move into shadow. We are going to have Mars slowing down now in a place of concentration this week and soon to go retro, the very beginning of next week, along with Pluto going retro next week as well. So this is a time when Pluto as well is slowing down more and more. So all of this suggests, for one, look, if you are just thinking about starting a new business, and if it feels right to you, then you know where your learning is, and you've got to trust that above and beyond anything else. But I will also say this, in general, it is more important to try and give yourself distance from the Mercury retrogrades and the Mercury shadows than it would necessarily be Mars, unless your business is specifically Mars oriented. So what I mean by that is if you have a business that's related to sports or the military or to very young people like children, these are the types of businesses that you want to be mindful of, because it is Mars that rules these types of industries. But for all that, other industries, you want to make sure that the ruling planet of your industry is strong. And for that, I did create a video about business success and astrology, and you can check that out on my YouTube channel. Coming back, Venus trines Mars now, and Mars in a very strong position in the sky, concentrated energy, slowing down to a standstill. This is a lot of passion in the air, and it is the passion that is stronger than the love now. And so this can suggest, and you add to this some very imaginative thinking, right? Lots of filling in the blanks, believing in miraculous turnarounds. But the thing is that what is more beautiful, what tends to be even more inspiring, is reality. But we don't always see that as clearly when Mercury is speaking in harmony with Neptune and Jupiter as well at the same time. This particular conversation says lots of passionate energy, meeting somebody, feeling very fired up, feeling very attracted. If we're in an established bond as well, this can lend itself to some super romantic connections, understandings, motivations, and that can be a lot of fun if channeled correctly. And also with all that romantic thinking, energy in the air, fantastical thinking in some cases, energy in the air, this can also work very much to our advantage, can also be a lot of fun as well, where we allow ourselves to feel swept away. So it's romantic overall in the early part of the week. That doesn't mean necessarily that on the other side, once we get to early next week and these planets are, like Mercury is fully in shadow, Mars is retro, Pluto is retro. Once we get there, that's when things start to get a little bit more real. That's when things start to get a little bit more internal, a little bit more reflective, a little bit of, second guessing our immediate impressions. But that's okay. I personally think that's okay. There can be that reflection aspect that actually allows us to build on the passion that comes about and allows us to feel that much closer to another person. So whatever transpires now, it can be very romantic, but ultimately this is heart-oriented passion and thinking and believing in beauty and love and light. So wherever that is in your life, that can be, as I said, romantically, it can be financially as well, where a splurge item starts to show up for us. But this can also be on more personal levels as well, in terms of the things that we hold valuable in our heart, the things that our hearts desires. These types of endeavors can be particularly magnified now, things that we really feel inspired to pursue. And I think with all the faith and all the joy and all the energy in the air, there's a lot to be said for being willing to take those chances that we might otherwise not. Because regardless of what happens with it, regardless of what it is on the other side, there's a sense of joy now. There's a sense of belief and hope and a real sense of possibility that is bringing adrenaline and energy and a sense of touching on the best of what it means to be a human being. And that experience alone, having that experience alone, I believe, whether that experience manifests in love, in money, or any other area of life, is absolutely worth the risk. Well, thank you so much for watching the introduction. I'm truly so grateful for it. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, thumbs up. It means so much. And for your continued trust, thank you so much. I love our interactions, as I said, and your questions. Sometimes I ask questions that are a little bit more personal, that have to do with your unique situation. In that case, please do consider a personalized horoscope where I can do just that. Look at your unique birth chart and answer your specific questions. So it is based just for you and uniquely for you, a reading that is uniquely for you. So to learn more about that, have a look at my website, nadiyashah.com. And I also want to send a very big burst of gratitude to all the people out there who have been reaching out with your own work, your own endeavors, your own businesses, your own nonprofit endeavors as well, organizations that are all part of putting love and wisdom into the world. And so like I said last week, and I'm going to offer it again, if you are a person who is doing something where you believe it is part of putting greater love and greater wisdom in the world, or at least reminding us and helping us all as a collective through your own individual life, in some way helping us all to move towards that energy that I like to call love and wisdom, towards the embodiment of greater love and greater wisdom, then reach out to me. I'd love to see what you're doing, and I'll give you a shout out on social media. As I said, Facebook, Twitter, Google Plus are the main places where I'm particularly active, among other places as well. So you can get a shout out, use the contact form on my website, or reach out to me on one of these places. I would love to hear from you. I'd love to see what you guys are doing. I love interacting with you guys, and there's so many amazing, creative people out there in your own unique way, as you're being called to do what you do, are affecting change in the world. And I think that that's a beautiful thing. And it's so great to be here and a part of that with you. I absolutely love it. It's personally rewarding, but I also think collectively as well, more and more of us are connecting to this energy consciously, but we've all always been connected to it, moving towards greater love and greater wisdom. And that is my mission in the world, to affirm that the universe is wise and loving. And you being here allows me to do just that, allows me to affirm this truth in the world. And for that, I am truly grateful. And I hope that this video allows you, fills you, and reminds you that there is hope, there is inspiration, and there is always something happening. The universe is always conspiring to help you to become more aware of the ways that you can use whatever circumstance to move yourself in your own journey towards greater love and greater wisdom as well. Thank you so much again. How all this wonderful stuff speaks to you and your sign is coming up right now. Hello, fabulous Aries, Venus in your sign, speaking with your ruling planet Mars. Lots of energy here, lots of romance here, and lots of motivation to make great things come about in all matters of heart, in all matters of making yourself feel more connected to an energy of love. So some Aries out there, a lot of Aries out there, I think are going to surprise themselves by their determination to experience greater love, particularly the romantic kind. If you're in an established bond, this can be a lovely time of feeling so much more connected to that person that you love, feeling a sense of closeness and feeling a sense of romance. If you are open to meeting someone new now, or just getting to know somebody, this can be a time when it feels like things are moving very well and in your favor. There's an ease with which you're able to make connections with other people, an ease with which you're able to bring forward your more charming, more beautiful, more flirty self in particular, and just able to feel a greater joy as you are being more aware of the options in love that are available to you. We've also got Mercury having harmonious conversations all around. Mercury right now in a part of the sky that has to do with earning and spending. So it's income and spending money. And as I look at this, it's very possible now that you'll be inspired to splurge a little bit, having faith that it's okay, there's plenty of money. And yes, sure, there is plenty of money, but just also know that we are going to have in the middle of the week Mercury enter shadow. So just be mindful of that as we move a little bit later into the month. You want to especially be mindful with that where it comes to things like electronics or tech gear. But for all that, this does suggest that you have a lot of faith that abundance and greater abundance is possible for you. That allows you to consider ideas of how you can create greater prosperity for yourself. And some of those ideas are actually going to be exceptionally good. For those of you who are in your job and you like it, and you're not necessarily seeing yourself, doing anything very risky or very new because you're so happy where you are, this is where that happiness factor starts really emphasizing. So you start to feel that much more comfortable, that much more understood, and feel that much more blessed for being exactly where you are. Hello, fabulous Taurus. This week we've got your ruling planet Venus speaking in supreme harmony with Mars. Supreme harmony with Mars. And this says that there is a part of you that is feeling awake, and a part of you that is feeling that you have that support and that energy that you need to make a beautiful life possible for you, or at the very least a beautiful moment. Now, both of these planets are speaking in parts of the sky that are quiet, but also very karmic, or they have a certain spiritual karmicness to their energy. And what that suggests is, I think you may surprise yourself by the level of emotion that comes forward. If you're open to meeting someone new, it is possible now that you meet someone and it feels like a soul connection. It feels like a connection is taking place on a very deep level, something very familiar about this person. Keep in mind, Mercury is going to go into shadow in your sign, as well as speaking in harmony with Jupiter and Neptune. So there's lots of magical thinking, okay, lots of fantastical thinking on your part. This can be directed if you are a musician, if you are a poet or a writer or a creative person in general, utilizing your creativity for your advantage, particularly in terms of your personal satisfaction, or you're an artist of any kind, really, however broad that umbrella may be. This can be a lot of the right ingredients you need to create something that does lend itself to wonderful prosperity in the fullness of time. But having said that, that can also be the kind of thinking that keeps us from seeing all the other subtle messages that might be there. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. Enjoy yourself, live it up, but just know that you are likely going to be one of those people who is particularly inclined now to see what it is that you want. If you're in an established bond, you will be feeling the love to the max, and it will feel like this energetic, spiritual, unspoken connection that you have with this person, feeling very much connected on that level. Now, if it's somebody new that you're meeting, you may still feel that connection, and that's great. And you may want to carry that forward, and that's great too, but keep in mind, Mars is very strong now, preparing to go retro. Pluto is strong, preparing to go retro. And all of this does suggest that if you can remind yourself in the midst of possibly getting very swept up in a moment of flirtation and of possibility, if you can remind yourself to pace yourself just a little bit in the fullness of time, I mean, just really a little bit later this month, not that far into the future, you'll probably be glad that you did pace yourself and allow yourself just those other experiences, right? Those other moments of interactions, those other angles of perceiving another person. You'll be glad to have had those to allow you to make a more informed decision. Hello, fabulous Gemini. We have got your ruling planet Mercury speaking in harmony with Neptune, in supreme harmony with Jupiter. And this does suggest that you are feeling your optimistic best. In fact, it is optimism that is the key word now, and it is amped up super high for you, and you're feeling like there are a tremendous amount of possibilities available to you, particularly based on connections that have already been established. So this can be a time when you start to become aware that other people have been speaking well of you, have been working on your behalf to make good things come about for you. So if you weren't so aware of this before, now the rumblings start to show. Now you realize that you could have faith all along, that other people have been doing not only what they were supposed to, but been exceeding what they were supposed to work on your behalf and to usher in some blessings for you, which should very well start to appear for you now. And this is particularly true where it comes to love, in the context of love. If you are someone who is in an established bond, this can be a super passionate time. Lots of love in the air. Right now we've got Mars slowing down to a standstill in your opposite sign and speaking to Venus simultaneously. This is a tremendous amount of passion and a real motivation to stay close and to have a deeper sense of connection with that person that you love. At the very least, it should lend itself to a very romantic experience that allows you to feel like you are truly with who you are supposed to be with right now. And those of you who are open to meeting someone new, it is all about what's happening with your friends. So it is either a friend or it is going to be someone that a friend introduces you to, where the chance of having some very strong sparks almost instantly are there. So especially in the early part of the week, if you get any kind of invite, make sure that you go. Be out and about, go to group events as much as possible, because it's going to be these areas where you'll find yourself bringing forward a very flirty part of you. Yes, there's lots of flirty energy in the air for all of us, but for you in particular, there is something now about friendship lending itself to not just love, but passion and passionate moments that seems to awaken you on deeper levels and seems to allow you to feel a level of comfort and engagement with life that you haven't felt in a while for some of you out there. I have a feeling as I look at this that some people out there are going to be very pleasantly surprised at their awareness of their own emotions, of how their bodies can react when meeting somebody where there's a spark. And that alone is a great gift to remind you that you are alive and to remind you that there's so much more to learn and that your heart can lead the way. Hello, fabulous Cancer. This week we've got an active sky, and in particular, we've got Venus at the very top of your sky speaking with Mars. Now, this is all happening in career-related places and work-related places. And as I look at the sky, it suggests that you are going to be one of those people very well could be the beneficiary of major gains where it comes to your career goals, where it comes to your work goals as well. In fact, I would say if you have any kind of day job situation, make sure that you are at your friendliest, sweetest, nicest, best, because it is in that day job situation that you really could use that to launch yourself towards a direction of actually achieving something more meaningful for you. But if you are already on the track that you know you're supposed to be, if you're on the career path already, then this can be a time when you garner tremendous favor from higher ups. And really, I've been saying to you, and I know I said this before, but right about now, there's lots of lucky energy with you where it comes to any kind of interview situations. I have a very dear friend, a Cancer, who's an actor, and he's been getting these amazing auditions lately, and he's been working a really long time to get here. And now he's here, and it just feels like this should be happening for him. All these kudos that are coming, they fit the alignment of the planets, and at the same time, there's a sense now that things are coming full circle, that things are progressing as they are supposed to. And I think that this energy of feeling that way, that things are progressing for Cancerians out there, right now you're just getting the beginning steps of what will accelerate for you, powerfully so, once we get to the end of this year, and particularly in 2017. And I'll talk about that in the annual horoscopes coming up way down the road, right, a little further this year. But know that you have that to look forward to. So this week is sort of one of those smaller steps that's going to prepare the ground for some big leaps coming up in the future. So connect with those higher ups, connect with bosses, go to interviews, and be willing to engage with people who maybe have what you want or are in a position of having or being something that you respect or you aspire to be, because they can in some way facilitate your advancement as well. And also some of these advancements may come on a heart level also. And so if you have any goals for yourself where it comes to matters of heart, matters of love, you've got lots of cosmic support for being inspired in the right directions. And so the types of people that you can attract into your life now are those who represent more of where you want to be, more of where you want to go. And if you are someone who is in an established bond and happy to be with a partner, that you have. This can be a time when you start getting those deeper perspectives. This can be a time when you start to feel that more passionate energy intensify. We do have Mars slowing down now. This is going to be making passion all around particularly emphasized, but for you in particular, the love, the heart is feeling especially magnanimous and feeling especially open to either staying connected or connecting with someone meaningful to you. Hello, fabulous Leo. This week we've got Venus and Mars in super harmonious positions to you, having a super harmonious conversation. And this suggests that the best of you is able to come forward, very much feeling in your element, in your power, and in your heart that there is a more beautiful life, not only awaiting for you, but in front of you now, inspiring your steps forward, but also feeling like it is within your grasp. A lot of Leos out there are going to experience this in the context of love. For some of you, that means love in a sense of someone that you may meet now or just getting to know, feeling your heart warm to this person, feeling yourself particularly there's lots of passion in the air, I will say this. And I think that you are one of the greatest beneficiaries now of that more passionate energy. And so there's lots of romance to be had with this. And if you are in an established bond with somebody that you love, your heart will be feeling that much more expanded and that much more willing to embrace them and willing to envision a stronger and stronger future with this person. And there's a level here, a reminder of the joy that this person brings into your life. And a level here, a reminder of the sense of commitment that you have for this person is not necessarily entirely out of any kind of obligation, but also based on something more heart-oriented, more love-oriented, more pleasure-oriented, something that is oriented towards genuinely liking and respecting this person and wanting to integrate them into more and more different areas of your life. We've also got Mercury now at the very top of your sky, having its own harmonious conversations. I do want you to watch a couple of things with this. Now, I do really like this conversation where it comes to money that you earn. This can be a really good time for that. And what I mean is, this can be a really good time to, whether it's ask for a raise or have that raise show up. Interviews as well can go well where it comes to you wanting to make more money or wanting to seek advancement, particularly financially motivated, or just talking to a boss about how it is that you can create greater value for the organization that you work in that could lend itself to eventually experiencing greater prosperity. Not a bad idea to have that type of conversation now, so at least this other person knows that you are motivated and you are clear that that is something that you want and that you're asking for that feedback so that you can do more and be of more value to your organization. Not a bad idea right now if you are so inspired. But also with this sky, I just want you to be a little bit mindful of seeking or thinking a little bit too much about things like just right now. I think that your greater strength is probably going to be found in thinking about ways to earn more money, at least in the immediacy, because it does suggest that one of your first impulses will be to look towards money like grants and loans and bursaries, insurance payments, tax returns or benefits, that kind of thing. And that might work out in the fullness of time. Okay, so there absolutely that could be there, but it looks like it's not going to be as instant as you may necessarily like it to be. May need a little bit of time to flesh out. And so in the midterm, until then, you've got lots of opportunity now to find ways to create greater income for yourself and greater prosperity for yourself right now. And this is going to be the kind of income that is steady and that lasts. This is going to be the kind of income that you can rely on, not necessarily just a one-off, but it can be as steady as you desire. Lots of luck with you right now to take your income to another level, wherever it is that you desire it to go. It takes a little bit of smart asking, a little bit of willingness to have key conversations, and just that alone, you will find that there's an ease of luck with which you're able to access and you're able to move towards and move your life towards a greater sense of abundance, and a real sense of increased prosperity becomes more available to you now. Hello, fabulous Virgo. This week, we've got your ruling planet Mercury having supremely harmonious conversation with Jupiter in your sign, and a harmonious conversation with Neptune as well in your opposite sign. As I look at this with Mercury in fellow Earth sign, very harmonious placement for you. And again, speaking with Jupiter in your sign, this suggests that you have an ability now to access an energy that can be thought of as lucky, yes. But more than that, to me, I think it's almost as if I'm seeing you have a conversation and all of a sudden the whole world opens up to you. All of a sudden, what otherwise might have been, hard to grasp, it's like you get it. Something that might have otherwise been complex or very ephemeral. Something that otherwise might have felt like, oh, that's just a philosophy and that's just the way that some people think. There's an application to it that you can use right now to make your life better. So for example, I'm just going to put this out there. I like to say the universe is wise and loving. So what does that mean, right? There are different ways to understand that at different times in your life. Sometimes that's a choice. Sometimes that's a statement of faith that gets you through times that maybe it doesn't feel that way. And sometimes that is an affirmation of all that is good now and all that you can see is going to continue to be good. And sometimes that's also a more personal thing where it's like, okay, that there's love available to you, romantic love available to you, and otherwise. So as I look at this, right, it does suggest that some sort of affirmation, some sort of philosophical orientation to the world, it's like it finally hits home, it finally clicks, and you get it how understanding this principle, this idea, this notion actually can make your current circumstances infinitely better, improve almost instantly. And how it is that some affirmation or some worldview, some understanding of the world you can now utilize to your advantage, to understanding not just what's happening now, but the direction in which you desire to go. And it makes a difference. It makes a difference in your life in terms of the possibilities that you're able to recognize, but also in terms of the preparation you see in front of you. Because right now there's a sense that you are preparing, you're laying some very valuable ground over the course of the coming weeks. But it is going to be a little bit further into the later part of the spring that the bigger rewards will find you. But right now, in the immediacy, it's about allowing that connection to be made so that you can run, you can sprint towards that finish line to make great things happen for yourself. Also this week, romantically speaking, it is all about those deep transformative experiences. Virgos are the recipients right about now, and really have been for the last few years, will be for another few years, of moments that can move you deeply, that come by surprise. And right now we've got Venus speaking in supreme harmony with Mars. All of us are going to be feeling especially loving, right, in different ways. And I think that certainly is true for you as well. But for you, it is also deeply moving, a desire to transform yourself and to be changed on a heart level is something that's going to inspire you to be more brave, something that's going to inspire you to have conversations with people where you otherwise might not, whether it's in an established bond or with somebody new. And that ultimately becomes part of what allows you to be more available to the kind of love that you desire, whether it is with someone new and you taking those chances and putting yourself out there and understanding yourself deeply and therefore moving towards a greater and greater sense that love is available to you, or it's in an established bond where you start to feel a greater and greater sense of closeness with this person that you love. Hello, fabulous Libra. This week, Venus, your ruling planet Venus, is speaking in supreme harmony with Mars and Venus in your opposite sign. There is so much love in the air, especially for you now. You're one of those signs that is most going to benefit from a loving atmosphere. The ability to attract somebody into your life and also the ability to magnify the love that you have becomes that much more possible with a sky like this. What I especially love about this sky is that there's a real possibility now of you being excited about the prospects ahead or the joint plans you're making with that person that you love. If you're in an established bond, you're going to benefit from this energy more, but all Libras out there will benefit romantically with this particular sky. So for some of you in an established bond, this is making plans. That's what I see this as. Keep in mind that Mars right now is in a part of the sky that has to do with making those plans. And Mars is slowing down and will be retro very, very soon. In fact, at the very end of this week, beginning of next week, Mars will officially turn direction. So Mars is right now slowing down to a standstill in the sky for this week. And that is a magnification of this energy, but it also means that as much as there might be a plan to move forward, to do something exciting together, there might also be a need to work out some of those details. There might also be a need to go within and check what you're really feeling. And if this is, whatever that proverbial it might be, whatever that is it something you want to move forward with at this time? Is it something you're willing to undertake? Because it looks like anything initiated now might end up taking a lot more time and might be more complex than you realize. So I would really advise you, whatever the case may be, and it can be all kinds of things, a contract with this person, an agreement wanting to buy a house with this person and having a contract there. It could be also related to like immigration issues, if you're sponsoring your partner or they're sponsoring you, to change countries, to move somewhere else. All of these become factors in terms of paperwork that you may have to file in relation to the partnership that you have. And I would really advise you, if that's the case, to wait a little bit, especially something like that. You want it to go as smoothly as possible, because sometimes those things can really take a lot of time. Certain agreements take a lot of time to iron out. You add to that the fact that Mercury is now moving into shadow. I would really encourage you, if possible, to wait and just give it a few weeks. Wait a few weeks down the road when the momentum starts to increase, when the energy starts to turn a little bit, and you'll have more cosmic support on your side to make real progress, to have a real sense of forward momentum. But for now, if there's any kind of application process that you want to undertake for or on behalf of or with a partner you want them to undertake for you, my advice would be just slow it down, just wait a few weeks, nothing wrong with that. And in the bigger picture, it'll end up saving you months and months and months of time and effort. But also with this energy, there's something to be said for just, dreaming out loud, having ideas, going back and forth, sharing them. That's where the strength is now. If you're willing to do that, if you're willing to bounce around those ideas and think about those possibilities, this can be a really great time to make wonderful things come about, and a really great time in particular to think about what could change, what could be better, what could grow, what could be stronger, and think about how ultimately that can contribute to and lend itself to a greater sense of sharing, greater prosperity, and greater joy together. Those of you open to meeting someone new now, lots of genuine connections can have mind-oriented connections, but particularly as I look at the sky, things like online connections, sharing messages, all of that, very lucky now. But remember, there's chances coming up very soon for misunderstandings of those online communications, of the written word. And so if you can, and if you do connect with somebody now, and especially if you connect with them online, make meeting in person a priority. Make that as quick as possible in order to not have the energy manifest that way. And instead, this energy can manifest in terms of feeling a strong connection on paper, but then talking to the person and feeling a very strong instant connection, a mind level connection that can lend itself to greater and greater things in the fullness of time. But let your heart guide you, but also your mind. Your mind is so strong now, and that is key. And you can utilize that energy in many, many different ways. Of course, there's the romantic stuff, but also in more personal ways, in terms of you thinking about how it is now that you are going to move forward, how it is now that you are going to conceive of and correct wherever it is that you feel that your mind hasn't been working with you in terms of your best interests. This is a chance for you to hone in and practice some skills that teach you about how those small observations, those small corrections you start to make to what your thinking processes are can have the most profound changes in your life. This is where you glimpse that truth and start to see the value of exercising that very valuable skill of thinking with discernment. Hello, fabulous Scorpio. This week we've got Mercury in your opposite sign, speaking in supreme harmony with Jupiter, speaking in harmony with Neptune. I look at this and this is so great for romance. This is so great for fun, for joy, for social events. And this is really great, especially for talking things out with the person that you love, the person that you're with, and even having a connection with someone, a mind level connection with someone that allows you to feel like this person can really be a part of fulfilling greater hopes and wishes for your life. There's an ease now with which you can talk to other people that you can use to your advantage to meet someone new, or also you can use to your advantage to decide once and for all what you're going to put behind you so that you can move forward. Now, one thing I will make you a little bit aware of if you're in an established bond, if you're in an established bond and you have made a certain choice about children, let's say, this can be a time when you're willing to see things a different way, you're willing to reverse your decision, you're willing to entertain possibilities that maybe you hadn't before, whether it is to have children, whether it is the possibility to have more children. This is the kind of conversation for some of you out there, percentage of you out there, may be coming up now and might actually surprise some of you as well. So there's a sense now, a real sense that, oh yeah, I know I thought I knew what I wanted, but wow, that could be really cool. It could be really cool to do it your way. Now, it might be, but just know that the energy is not necessarily one that is supremely determined. And what I mean by that is the energy is one of wishes, of considerations, of very ideal thinking, rather than really looking at the details of any given matter. So just know that regardless of what you choose, right? Whether you are very intent on having children, whether you are very intent on not having children or not having more children, that decision that you thought was so firm can now feel a little fluid to you now. And if that is the case, that's okay. You can certainly flow with it. And at the same time, I do think there's a lot of value with this sky for considering options, and that's it. Considering options, but not feeling pressured to commit to anything, to dreaming and looking at life from other people's perspective, but also knowing that you're always a work in progress and you're always learning about yourself and who you are and what you really want to do. Also, where it comes to matters of heart, we've got this supremely harmonious conversation playing out between Venus and Mars. So all of us are going to be jacked up on romantic energy, I gotta say. And this is there for you as well. And I would say that much more so. But for you, the good thing is while other people can get very caught up in the more passionate side, as fun as that may be, as Mars is your ancient ruling planet, Venus is speaking to that Mars, as fun as that might be, at the same time, thankfully, because of the position of Mercury, there's still that part of you that is able to see that you're getting caught up. And that's really an advantage that you have now. So if you meet anybody new, you may choose to get caught up, and that's okay. You can also see that regardless of where it goes, you can make that quick assessment. Okay, there are 18 ways in which this can go, but I'm gonna go with what feels like it's so easy right now, knowing that it's okay if things change because you have yourself. That's part of the very special lesson now for Scorpios out there, and those of you in an established bond. I think that this can be a time when you find an easy connection between mind, heart, and spirit with the person that you love, as you are considering ways to not only strengthen the bond that you have, but also to add an element of hope and magic and inspiration and fun to the bond that you share. Hello, fabulous Sagittarius. This week, it is Mars that is slowing down in your sign. Now, officially, it's going to be at the very last minutes of this week and the very first minutes of next week that this planet will officially change direction, will officially go retro along with Pluto. And I'll be here to talk about it next week. It will be the big news. However, you'll be feeling this energy now for you in a very heightened way, where a growing determination will start to set in many different areas of life. And I see this as you saying to yourself and getting clear on what must change in your life, what you will no longer accept, what is no longer working for you. And it will start to rise to the surface. Wherever it is that you've just kind of gone along with life, you've just kind of let things plod along, haven't really been as engaged as much as you would like to be as a Sag. You are a Sag after all. And Sagittarians really like to be involved in the experience of life. It's not enough to watch it on TV. You want to be in it. You want to know that you experienced it. And when you do that, you find yourself happier and more at peace and able to be open to the world more, be able to get along with other people more. And all of that lends itself really nicely to you becoming the best of you, a stronger, clearer, lighter, like spiritually lighter version of yourself when you allow yourself to go through that process of exploration, of ideas, of places, of people, of different ways of interacting with the world, all of that. You're at your best when you do that. Given this particular sky, and given that we have Mars in your sign, wherever it is that you have not been allowing yourself to fully engage and fully live, it is going to become very evident to you, and you will find yourself very determined to change this trend. So this is about owning your power to change what you can. As I said in the Mars special horoscope, you may want to watch that again. Having Mars in your sign is like an intimate experience of the Serenity Prayer. So the Serenity Prayer says, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Having Mars standing still in your sign, gearing up to go retro, that is the sacred lesson. That is one of those universal, sacred, spiritual lessons that you have the pleasure of interacting with very directly now. Where it comes to matters of love and heart, it may very well be another person who triggers some of this understanding for you. Whether an attraction, that's the most likely scenario, an attraction, whether appropriate or not, whether you're with another person or not, it very well could be an attraction. You don't have to do anything about it, but that energy alone can be part of the catalyst that helps you to create change in your life now and in the weeks to come. Again, you don't have to do anything about it. It's an energy, and you can decide how you're going to channel it, and ultimately you channel it in a way that feels right for you. If you are in an established bond, it could very well be some experiences you're having right now with your partner that are forcing you to look in the mirror and are part of you owning your own happiness. And that's key now. That ownership for the change that you desire and the change that you can have based on your own power will start to become that much clearer to you. And as a result, so much more becomes apparent. So many more options and opportunities in love and in life become that much more easier for you to grasp. Hello, fabulous Capricorn. This week we've got an active sky, and in particular, it's all about this Venus and Mars speaking in supreme harmony, adding a lot of energy of passion in the air for all of us. And for you in particular, a lot of this passion is very quiet. It may seem on the surface very subverted, but that doesn't mean that it isn't there and it isn't felt, and also that it isn't realized as well. I think that there's a certain private, almost secret quality now to the attractions that you may be feeling. And so how you pursue that is up to you. Just know that we also have happening, and I think I said this last week, and I think I said it the week before, we have Mercury right now going into shadow in a part of the sky for you that has to do with dating. So what that means is decisions in love can change. Miscommunications, misunderstandings can happen. And what tends to happen is if you make firm decisions, they tend not to last while Mercury is in the shadow retrograde shadow cycle. So you add to this super romantic conversation taking place, and it does suggest that there's a strong likelihood now that an attraction may show up, or a situation with your current partner may show up, but it isn't all as it seems. And so more will have to be revealed. And even then, what is revealed might not necessarily be clear, might not necessarily be accurate. So just keep that in mind as you're navigating not only this week, but the weeks to come. And take your experiences, of course, enjoy them, but know that more information has to come in all around. And if you can, especially where it comes to the person that you love or the person that you're dating, strive not to make any like sort of ultimate decisions, at least for a few weeks. At least wait until we have a much stronger Mercury. But this is where sort of the catalyst begins. This is where the awakening happens. And so if you make a connection with somebody, just know that even if it feels really strong right now, more will be revealed. And that doesn't mean it won't grow even stronger in the fullness of time. It just means that you would be wise to pace yourself and know that you might be filling in a lot of blanks that are not as clear just yet. Also with this sky that I really love is that we have this supremely harmonious conversation playing out with Mercury and Jupiter and Mercury and Neptune for that matter. And all of this suggests that you are going to be finding ways to bring forward what feels like the best of you in just about any area of life now. In fact, if anything is lucky, this conversation is supremely lucky for you in just about any area of life. In terms of love, yes, matters of heart. In terms of your kids, if you have kids or you want kids, lots of lucky energy around making that happen for you. But also with this conversation, it's just like, windfall, lucky energy. So this would be the week, especially in the first days of this week, to spend that dollar, if you can, and buy that lottery ticket. You've got lots of cosmic support for making tremendous turnarounds happen in an instant. Sometimes it's inspiration, sometimes it's a subtle prompt, but whatever that thing is that leads you towards figuring out where it is that you are going to find your great fortune, your great windfall. And what seems subtle to one person might be a tremendous amount to another, but whatever that is for you will find a very beautiful way, a very harmonious way of coming together now. Hello, fabulous Aquarius. This week we have got an active sky, including this supremely harmonious conversation playing out between Mars and Venus. Now, these are happening in parts of the sky for you that are very social, that are very much about connecting with other people, friends, becoming more, having passionate moments, if you will, right? But also this is about just having certain interactions that awaken you on a level of mind and get you to see things differently and have a way of reaching you right into the level of heart. Now, this can be really great if you're in an established bond. If you're in an established bond, this can be a great time for feeling that much more love for this person and feeling a sense of real closeness and real friendship and feeling like it's so easy to talk to this person and that lending itself to a deepening of commitment. For others of you, this is going to be an energy that speaks to connecting with somebody who encourages you to not only see things differently and see yourself differently, but encourages you to communicate. So there's lots of passion with this, but I gotta say, as I look at this, it is possible now that you do make a strong connection with somebody, but because there's so much mind level energy happening here, how much it actually manifests in the physical world will be seen. But at least some of the conversation will alight your imagination. Also, elsewhere in the zodiac, we do have Mercury moving to the very bottom of your sky, speaking and having these harmonious conversations with other power players. It looks like family, which is where Mercury is moving, family and home. Good places for money or to make money or to dream of ways of making more money. But also with this energy, you should expect to hear some good news around prosperity with family. So it could be that your family of origin, members of your family of origin come into some money now, or it could be that you come into money thanks to your family of origin. It could be related to a house, buying or selling, but all of that, very lucky now, and especially if you have a home-based business or if you work with houses, very lucky for you now to create really a shot of wealth as a result of a little bit of effort. It's like a little bit of effort, a key conversation here, sharing something online on social media, a slight thing can end up creating a return of an avalanche of greater prosperity towards you, particularly where it also comes to anything that involves paperwork. So if paperwork is involved, it becomes that much more fortunate for you now to create an influx of cash for you. So if it involves the signing of documents, you know, like that, oh, okay, the signing of documents, it means that something good could come about now. But regardless, it looks like good news all around. It might be financial. It might be more personal as well, of turnarounds taking place with family members where previously they might have been concerned. Now you can expect some good news to find you of things changing for the better. What I also really like about this week for you is that there's a sense now that you're able to speak of things that otherwise were too personal. And in speaking of them, you realize that there's a beauty and a purpose to what otherwise you might not readily be open to talking about. And it is in those moments, likely very spontaneous, but still allowing you a level of vulnerability, that you're going to find yourself particularly endeared to other people. And they will in turn become a part of facilitating all kinds of blessings in your life, or at least continue to be part of facilitating blessings in your life. That moment of trust can lend itself to a deepening connection that makes you better in many different ways for a very long time to come. Hello, fabulous Pisces. This week we've got Neptune in your sign, speaking in harmony with Mercury. And then that Mercury speaking in supreme harmony with your ancient ruling planet, Jupiter. You put that together and it says that there's an ease with which you're able to communicate. You're able to bring forward your ideas. You're able to bring forward a part of you that you like, that feels very much like a flow, that you're entering a certain flow where good things can happen with greater ease. That's the space you enter into now. And where it is that it's not as easy for you, or you feel like it's not as easy for you to access, you are going to find that things work very much to your advantage in a different sense, in that things start to fall into place where it comes to matters of love and partnership. Some of you are going to experience this in the context of business partnerships, which can go exceedingly well now and lend themselves to greater prosperity all around for everybody involved. And so this would be the time to reconnect and to deepen that bond with somebody that you have a business relationship with. But also romantically as well, of course. If you're in an established bond, this can be a tremendous time to talk to that person and to feel like this person is facilitating greater opportunities and greater possibilities for you. What I also really like about this sky is that there's a lot of promise here for saying what needs to be said and putting it behind you, for speaking those things and deciding that you're going to forgive it and you're going to release it. And because of that sense, there's the possibility now and the momentum now to move into a purposeful future with this person that you are bonded with, and with this person that you actually do love very much, and you want this to work. That little bit of willingness, that little bit of belief can make amazing things happen and amazing turnarounds happen in any given bond. But also this is really good for connecting with someone new, for finding that person where you feel that much more close and that much more that this is a person where things can grow in a more and more positive direction. There's lots of possibilities now for just like very accidentally, as you're walking around your neighborhood, connecting with somebody and it becoming something full blown in the fullness of time. There's a lot of hope in the moment, but you've got to just pace yourself a little bit to let it manifest in its own time, but lots of cosmic support to make that happen. We've also got this conversation with Venus and Mars. Yes, it's romantic for everybody. It's romantic overall. But there's another layer to this energy for you in particular that has to do with career and money, both of which are supremely blessed now. The real chance to make more money can show up for you. The real chance to work towards a goal that matters and have that be a source of prosperity can show up for you now. And it can come up in a very easy way. For those of you who are involved in any kind of endeavor related to beauty or music or art or even love related endeavors, right? These types of industries are especially blessed by this energy, but all Pisceans out there can find themselves the recipients of greater opportunity to create greater prosperity in your life, to find ways to make advancements that lend themselves to you making more money. And ultimately, this will lend itself to a greater sense of being in love with how you're creating your prosperity. And there's something about doing what it is that you would do for free anyways, again and again, that creates greater and greater chances of greater and greater abundance. And this is a truth that you will glimpse this week. Well, thank you so much to all signs out there. It'll be a great week. Enjoy.